Imagine being thrown out of a band that is about to conquer the world, watching from the outside as they rise to global dominance, and knowing that your own riffs, your own aggression, and your own creative fingerprints are permanently embedded in their early sound, yet your name is no longer on the door. That is not just rejection, that is fuel. In 1983, a young and furious Dave Mustaine was dismissed from Metallica due to his volatile behavior, heavy drinking, and escalating internal tension, and instead of collapsing under humiliation, he boarded a bus back to Los Angeles with a head full of riffs and a promise to himself that he would form a band faster, heavier, and more technically devastating than the one that had just expelled him. That band would become Megadeth, and metal would never sound the same again. The origin of Megadeth is inseparable from rivalry, because unlike many bands that form out of friendship or shared dreams, this one was born out of wounded pride and obsessive determination, which might not be the healthiest foundation emotionally, but creatively, it can be explosive. The name itself, inspired by the political term Megadeth, referring to 1 million casualties in nuclear war, immediately established a tone of apocalyptic awareness and geopolitical anxiety, themes that would define Mustaine's lyrical identity for decades. From the very beginning, Megadeth was not just about speed, because speed alone was already being weaponized across the emerging thrash scene, but about complexity, precision, and razor-sharp riff construction that often felt less like traditional songwriting and more like controlled musical combat. Their debut album, Killing Is My Business and Business Is Good, was chaotic, aggressive, and technically ambitious, yet beneath the raw production, there was already evidence that Mustaine was thinking several chess moves ahead of the competition, layering intricate rhythms and unpredictable structures in ways that forced listeners to pay attention rather than simply headbang. If Metallica embodied brute momentum, Megadeth embodied calculated aggression. By the time Rust in Peace arrived in 1990, Megadeth had evolved into a near-surgical thrash machine, with songs like Holy Wars, The Punishment Due, demonstrating a level of structural sophistication that blurred the line between metal and progressive composition, while still maintaining an intensity capable of igniting a mosh pit within seconds. This was not accidental. Mustaine demanded precision from his bandmates, pushing them relentlessly in the studio, often to the edge of frustration, because his vision was not merely to compete but to outclass, and whether one loves or dislikes his personality, the results were undeniable. Many critics and fans still consider Rust in Peace one of the greatest thrash albums ever recorded, not because it was the fastest or the loudest, but because it achieved a rare balance between technical virtuosity and memorable songwriting. At that point, Megadeth was no longer the band started by Metallica's former guitarist, they were a pillar of the genre. However, brilliance and instability often shared the same room, and throughout the late 80s and 90s, Megadeth experienced constant lineup changes fueled by substance abuse, internal conflict, and Mustaine's uncompromising leadership style, resulting in a revolving door of musicians that became almost legendary in its own right. If there were loyalty cards for former Megadeth members, some would have earned free coffee by now. Yet, despite the turbulence, each lineup shift injected new technical capabilities into the band, reinforcing its reputation as a proving ground for elite musicians capable of handling Mustaine's demanding compositions. When Countdown to Extinction was released in 1992, the band proved they could write tighter, more accessible material without sacrificing lyrical bite, delivering tracks like Symphony of Destruction that managed to penetrate mainstream radio while retaining a distinctly Megadeth identity. Some diehard fans accused the band of softening their edge, but in reality, this phase demonstrated strategic adaptability rather than compromise, because survival in the music industry often requires evolution, and Mustaine was far too competitive to allow Megadeth to stagnate. While others faded, Megadeth recalibrated. In 2002, Mustaine suffered severe nerve damage in his left arm, an injury doctors warned could permanently end his ability to play guitar, which for a musician whose identity is so deeply fused with technical riffing, was not merely a professional crisis, but an existential one. Rehabilitation was slow, painful, and uncertain. Yet through relentless therapy and determination, he regained the strength necessary to return to recording and touring, proving once again that Megadeth's story was defined not by collapse but by resurgence. Then came another blow in 2019, when Mustaine was diagnosed with throat cancer, a condition that for a vocalist and frontman carries cruel symbolism. Yet after treatment and recovery, he returned to the stage, standing once again under the lights with the same defiant presence that launched the band decades earlier. At this point, comeback almost feels too small a word. Megadeth stands as one of the big four of thrash metal alongside Metallica, Slayer, and Anthrax. But what truly distinguishes them is not simply their inclusion in that elite circle, but their persistent fusion of political commentary, technical ambition, and personal vendetta transformed into art. What began as revenge matured into legacy. And perhaps the ultimate irony is that the band, born from being fired, became one of the most influential forces in metal history, demonstrating that rejection, when channeled correctly, can become propulsion rather than paralysis. Megadeth's journey is not merely about speed, complexity, or rivalry, but about resilience, obsession, and the relentless pursuit of validation in a world that once slammed the door shut. Because sometimes the most powerful response to being told you are out of the band is to build one that refuses to be forgotten. And Dave Mustaine did exactly that.